My Inner Knowing, empowering you to find your compass for the journey. We are dedicated to supporting you to rediscover and trust your natural ability to navigate life each day by sharing insight and experience through the lens of two professional communicators and their guests. We intend to prompt internal inquiry that supports all those willing to explore a unique path.
Well, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah.
One of those weeks, I guess.
It's one of those weeks. Oh, well, hopefully this conversation will help clear out or release some of that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Yeah.
Oh.
What?
No. You know, I have anxiety about whatever it is we're talking about tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't feel like any of them are easy conversations. So today, one of the things that, we've been talking about over the last month or two is not living in our body. And I know that can be really difficult for us to, wrap our head around, that we often are not living in our body. So we feel like we're always in our body. And I would guess if we have a lot of pain, that we feel like we're in our body because we feel the pain. And so when I think about the work that I have done personally and with clients over the years, I feel like that we're trained out of our body. And we may have spoken a little bit about this on one of the other podcasts, but today is more focused attention around being trained to not in our body. And how I think about it for myself and for the people that I've worked with over the years, and, even myself as a younger mother, this, oh, you don't feel that way, or that's not what you're feeling, or it's not that big of a deal, or all the ways that we diminish someone's experience. And I think it starts as children, because I think we look at children through our adult lens, not from what we looked like or thought like or acted like as a child. And maybe we don't have the patience for what that child is experiencing, or the time or the space or the skill. But I believe over time that we often get trained to not be in our body. And I think the consequence of that is significant. I believe that it's easier for us to learn to rely on others to tell us what our experience is if we're not in our own body.
Sure.
Because if that's what we went through growing up, someone was telling us what our experience was.
Right.
It doesn't hurt that bad. And so how difficult I think it is for us to really fully be back in our body. And I think, oh my gosh, like, how is it different when we go to the doctor these days? I mean, often we're being told that our experience isn't what our experience.
Sure. No, I've had that experience many times.
Yeah. So
there's like this suspicion that floats around it, and the natural, attempts by us to voice what our experience is in that setting gets poo-pooed a lot. That's a really nice way of saying it,
Right. So it's not a story that gets better as we get older, even when we're not children anymore. So what it makes me think about, and I think you called it abandoned property.
I did.
Yeah. Which was, to me, very accurate. When we're not living in our body, what happens to abandoned property? How quickly a building starts to show, I don't know, that it's tired. And so I think about it as, well, no one's living in it anymore, right? Like there's no energy in it anymore.
Yeah, I think that's more what it's about.
Yeah. And we are all energy, right? This building is energy. So if there's no energy, living in it, keeping it going, it starts to run down. But it doesn't mean that we're living in our body. It is abandoned property. Yeah. So what's that like for you, thinking about it like that?
Well, I've been there before and got really sick, with autoimmune disorder and cancer, other things. And so I've been struggling to come back from that for years. And so I think, I had definitely was not listening, and the body knocks louder. I think we've touched on this before. I mean, what I believe is that it will finally knock loud enough and it may fade, if you don't reoccupy. So anyway, it's interesting, as we talk about the journey or to journey, that damn journey, So, and I'm not laughing this time when I say it.
Right.
And it's just because it feels like I'm back there. Abandoned property. Not in touch with my no, or in denial of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like before because I have a cognitive concept of it, of having done that. And before I was just oblivious.
Sure.
So probably not unlike a lot of people, just going through the struggles of doing things career-wise that are very difficult. And, I'm a trial attorney. It's a fight every day. And I feel like finishing out, taking care of my clients, because I'm an advocate for people.
Yeah.
And it's a lot to carry. I don't think that most clients understand it. But most of the time I'm either working like crazy on the multiple cases that I've got or laying in bed worrying about them.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes being unable to do any of it, just mentally, too much. It's like the body's just like, nope.
Mm.
So all of that, when I'm trying to find some measure of freedom from that career, and it causes a lot of conflict inner. I mean, what I've noticed, there's a lot of weird body pains coming up that I know are not just related to age.
Right.
In different areas too. It's like I can't attribute it to a particular diet piece, or it's certainly not muscle strain from working out or anything like that. I mean, I walk daily, but
when you are aware that this is happening for you, that you're in this place, that you're not living in your body, what are the things that you try to do to help yourself get back in your body?
Well, I like walking in the woods.
Yeah.
And walking barefoot in the grass. It's helpful.
Yeah.
I do some Tai Chi
Yeah.
type moves to just try to bring myself back. But, I've part of the struggle too. I know there's a few examples. I mean, I've tried essential oils, I'll put a little bit under my nose and, different sprays, just things to try to get present.
Yeah.
It goes on at night too. And there's a huge difference when you're sleeping. And have told you recently, I am angry when I sleep.
Yeah.
I have a furrowed brow. I wake up angry.
Yeah.
And so trying to deal with that, just trying to write down at least 3 things at night that I'm grateful for. Listening to anger release meditations for sleep. So I'm trying a lot of different things, but right now it's a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
So that's not working very well. So it's like, the term that comes to mind is living a life of denial.
Yeah.
What do I really enjoy? I enjoy doing this with you.
Yeah.
We put the headphones on, the phones are down, we're talking into microphones, it's being recorded, and we are like really focused, looking in each other's eyes across the table.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's not, you keep saying we'll have to tell people that like the podcast. Well, you want to do this with your relationship, get yourself some podcasting.
Right.
It has a funny effect.
It does.
Anyway, I got lost off on a tangent again.
It's okay.
There are many roads that my mind goes down. So in these moments, I feel good, but I know, and I don't know all the answers, but I know I'm denying my knowing. What's the knowing? Damn it, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm really good at doing the lawyer thing.
Yes, you are.
But my essence is not to fight people all day long.
Right.
And that's what it takes.
Yeah. Yeah. To do it well.
Yeah.
It is.
It's a toll.
Yeah. Exhausting.
Well, not just that, but I mean, talking about the body, and I know my body's speaking, we're in the hospital a few weeks ago, because of stomach pain, and, my hips are just terrifyingly stiff. And I'm doing stretches and trying yoga poses.
Yeah. You do a lot.
Drinking water, and I stretch every morning just to function.
Yes.
And then I've got this left trapezius thing. It sounds like old man is crying about body parts, but that's not what it's about. And I know it.
Yeah. I believe that.
So trying to get present to ask. So sometimes I even ask.
Yeah.
I've been asking that trapezius, what do you need?
Right. Do you ever get an answer?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
I have hope, though.
Yeah.
To keep trying those different modalities to bring it, bring myself present. But I think part of it is just making changes. And I've made a lot of changes.
You have.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yes, you have.
So the journey is sometimes very difficult.
Yeah. Yes, it is. I wish there was an answer. I wish that we had grown up in such a way that we learned, to be connected to our body from the time we were a little kid. Could you imagine what our skill level would be?
Sure.
If we'd been practicing that for 50 years.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating in life how it's almost like we build the barriers just so we have to continue working on getting past the barriers.
Tell me more. I am so curious. Tell me more.
Well, it's like, when you start figuring it out in midlife or whatever, and you've already put this whole life structure around yourself or in front of yourself. And so what I think is that we structure our lives around this, these shoulds and supposed tos.
Yeah.
These voices that are from society and family and significant others, those sorts of things. And as you structure the life that somebody else wanted, or you thought you wanted, but you didn't really because you weren't in touch with your body, in touch with your knowing.
Right.
It's not so easy to untangle that web.
I agree.
Right. It's not like I can just, as I say, throw my toys down and stomp out of the room. I have obligations.
Right.
But it isn't just that. There's also still some strong parts and some weak parts of that story.
Yeah. What are you thinking about when you say that? Strong parts, weak parts of that story?
There's certain aspects of what I do as a trial lawyer that I really like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Helping people and speaking to juries, those things. And it's terrifying at the same time, right? But standing in the breach, I like, there's a piece of that speaks to me.
Yeah.
I've always stood up for the underdog.
Yeah. You are an advocate.
I am. Sure. There's probably rescue piece in there too, but that's okay.
Yeah. It's learning.
Yeah.
When you're rescuing versus advocating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so having a certain level of success and having the, enjoying that aspect of it, there's an ego piece that's, strong in a way, even though part of me just despises having to live that way.
Yeah.
To be very direct. And I want to drag everybody down with the discussion. But, I guess if I was an accountant, or you could say it in anybody's profession.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
right.
But let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
When you are trying, because it's not like I just, curled up in a ball. I mean, some days I am curled up in a ball, but it's not like I haven't been trying a bunch of different tools.
Yes.
That I just discussed. And so when those aren't working, what do we do? What do you do when it gets to the point where you are waking up in the morning and you're not jumping out of bed and you're just laying there saying to yourself, I wish I wasn't here. I remember having that feeling as a child sometimes when times were bad, just wanting to be somewhere else.
Yeah.
On a beach somewhere, perhaps. Not as a kid, but.
Right.
Look at me making light of it. Deflection.
Yeah, as we do.
No, what do you do when you are trying all those modalities, going for the walks, getting your feet grounded, meditating, listening to meditations, writing in your journal, and it feels like nothing's happening?
Yeah. Oh. I think then we have to step into something that's even harder.
Like having this conversation.
Yeah.
Too bad they can't see my smarty face over here.
Right. Yeah. Babe, what I believe is that when we're trying all those things and none of them are working, that we are on some level replaying a very not helpful story in our mind. And it doesn't mean that we have awareness of it, but we are absolutely reinforcing some story of there isn't any hope. It can't be any different. I'm not any better. Things aren't different. Where is this going? But it's loud. So loud that our body is shutting out these attempts to bring it back online, because that's what you're trying to do with all of those things. Please come back online. Please come back online. Please come back online. Help me get back in my body. And your body's like, no.
Right.
No.
How about some more pain?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really the response.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so, for me, obviously having a helpful, loving, supportive patient partner, I think helps, but I don't think it fixes it. I think then the best thing we can do is move into action that requires us to then pull out the positive parts of ourselves. Mirror work. Ooh, right.
Yeah, that wasn't on my list, and I've recommended it to other people. Do as I say, not as I do. Right?
Yeah.
Does that happen to you sometimes too?
Of course. Of course. Which path are we trying to go down right now? Because I was going.
I don't know. I told you. It could go anywhere.
Yeah. Finishing down this path. What truly is positive things that I am doing right now? What are the things that I am doing? Look at me. Look at the amount of effort that I am putting into trying to get my body back online. Look at how much I am valuing myself in a way that I'm putting forth this kind of effort. Because that counts too. Even if our body is struggling, even if our subconscious is struggling, all of those attempts are not for nothing.
Right.
It all matters because we are retraining our body to have a different experience. And there are going to be times when we are feeling more insecure. For whatever reason, it doesn't matter. Body insecurity, financial insecurity. We took something out of context. Somebody said something to us that wasn't kind. I mean, it can be so many things. And if it touches that part of us that just says, don't be here anymore, right? It doesn't have to make sense to another person. But we are not in our body. So for me, all of that matters. And I think having the awareness of it, I think, is the difficult part. Recognizing that we are so not in our body right now. So whether that is our partner or our friend or, somebody in our life that can help us, remind us that we have value, that we inherently have value. And then is it something that I can say to myself? Can I look in the mirror and can I say, I love you? Can I say, wow, even putting forth all that effort is a huge improvement. Man, look at how much I've grown just in the amount of tools that I can attempt to try a year ago versus 5 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever. Can I see the value in the effort. I think it's hard for us to see value in the effort. I think we really value the outcome.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're reminding me of another thing I forgot.
Yeah. Tell me more.
Well, sure. Just, over the last year, I've talked to you about, it's probably more last year.
Okay.
Listening to the neuroscientist, I don't know if he's a neurologist, what he is, from Stanford, Andrew Huberman.
Oh,
talking about dopamine reward and focusing on effort rather than outcome in so many things. But also interesting, what came to mind when I was listening to you is the story about bamboo and how when bamboo is planted, it doesn't come out of the ground for 10 years. And so if you're going to propagate it, keep watering and watering and watering, tending the surface, and nothing's happening for all that time. And then when it breaks the surface, it grows feet in a night.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's good to be reminded.
Yeah. We all need those reminders. So
there's going to be a forest. Because I've been watering for a long time.
Yeah. I believe that there will be a forest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Field of flowers would be nice.
Yes, that would be nice too.
Yeah.
So I wonder, I think about the videos that you'll see out, on social media about the, little kids looking at themselves in the mirror and I am strong, I am smart, I am funny, whatever. It's like they'll give themselves the morning pep talk. And I think, I love it, obviously, seeing that. And,
sure.
And I wish when we were an adult that was enough. Right. Oh, but our brain functions much differently as we age, and life experience that then comes in, and we can be saying the words and at the same time discounting the words coming out of our mouth.
Sure.
What?
I'm just envisioning, looking in the mirror and that left eye is looking back.
Right.
Saying bullshit.
That's right. Oh, yeah. So then maybe I'm just thinking about that. If we can recognize within ourselves, if we can make that distinction, that would be interesting. If we can figure out which one of our eyes is our bigger supporter than the other one. Yeah. If maybe we try talking to that eye when we're looking in the mirror, support me, guide me. I know you have more hope than this one over here that's saying bullshit while I'm trying to shift and get back into my body. Maybe that would be interesting to see.
Yeah.
To try
covering one up.
Oh, yeah. I think that would be really interesting to cover the doubter.
Right.
Yeah. The suspicious one up. That would be so interesting.
Look at me.
Look at you.
Coming up with new stuff.
Yeah. As we often do when we take the opportunity to have these conversations and share our true, even if it's hard, even if it's scary, even if it just seems ridiculous to even talk about this right now. that sometimes we just need someone to be in this space with us. So we can create and remember what we forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. This learning to live in our body again. I believe that it's lifelong. I don't believe that the destination is easily found. You know, our culture doesn't do a good job of reinforcing it either. I mean, I know we talked earlier, you know, just about experiences going to the doctor and basically other people who don't live in our body every day telling us what we're experiencing.
Right.
Yeah. So it's something we have to put effort into always if we're going to continue to reside in there.
Well, sure. And recognizing that there are going to be dips in the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some days it's walking downhill with a nice breeze and sunshine. Other days you're climbing in 5 feet of snow.
Yeah. And some days we have abandoned our property.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And can we continue to put effort? Can we value the effort? Even if our body doesn't respond right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we move into some level of action, even if it's just conversation with someone, so that hopefully we can get more clear?
Yeah. I mean, what's nice is I have a really lovely person to have a conversation with when we get focused and non-reactive. Because I was reactive earlier today, right? I mean, I didn't rain on your parade, but totally reactive and dissociative, all those things. But not everybody has that.
Right.
So what are things that people that don't have that start to do?
Well, the reality is I hope what we're doing here is helpful. Even people listening to our conversation, maybe it prompts things in them that they wouldn't have had thoughts about otherwise trying, right? Because we all have our own experience, right?
Sure. Not alone.
Not alone. And I think one of the hardest things is really putting effort into finding people that we can either develop relationship with, existing relationships by engaging differently, asking often, you know, I know this isn't what our relationship has been, but what do you think about stepping in and trying this level of vulnerability?
Sure.
You know, is this something that we can experiment with together? Can we be messy in this together as we try to figure this out? Seeking new relationship, you know, with other people who are willing to get messy, because it is messy, but are willing to try. I think that's hard. You know, our relationships tend to be so familiar, healthy, not healthy. It's just familiar, that it can be really difficult for us to put effort into changing relationship or new relationship, which is another topic I would love to talk about. Not right now.
Right.
But yeah, I do think it's something that's difficult for us. But I think it's necessary. I mean, I just think about the people that I've worked with over the years and the changes in relationship that are, I don't know what word I want to use, but I guess they evolve into something else, whether they are people we are familiar with or they are new people, is that they evolve.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I think it's getting to a space, whether it's a partner or spouse or friend, family member.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where you can start to speak some truth instead of platitudes and niceties that are common.
Sure.
Ooh, doesn't have to be that every time because we play a lot. I mean, I like to play and joke around, all those things. And so, but I think it's trying to go new frontiers, I guess, because it's not easy.
No.
And I mean, there's still a hesitance even between us of being weak in front of you by being honest about how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And it doesn't stop me, but it's still that little fear back in the back of my head, Yeah. Isn't that funny? And I'm sharing that just in case there's other men out there or women that have that piece that I can't be honest about being weak, having weakness, or experiencing weakness. It's fascinating. I mean, it's complex, these opposites, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, just fear of being that vulnerable.
Well, it's so interesting, the wording, right? Because for me, vulnerability is actually one of the bravest things we can do. I don't consider it a weakness at all, but I think that's the story. I think it's the story for men, for sure, at least in our culture. I don't know what it is in other cultures, but in our culture, vulnerability is weakness. And I'm not saying that, that all women appreciate vulnerability. I'm not, because I don't think that's true. I don't think that I've always known what to do with vulnerability, because it wasn't something that I grew up with, with men, for sure. I mean, I had one brother and he was younger than me by 4 years, and we didn't have a lot of, I don't know that we had deep conversations until he was probably in college. But I know I did plenty of discounting and misvaluing men in my life attempt to be vulnerable. Absolutely did. Absolutely. And I can see how I, in the past, had reinforced stories that it wasn't safe to be vulnerable.
Sure. No, and I think until you get some practice at it, it's awkward, which might seem, I don't know, odd and a little scary to your partner. So.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Even though I don't see it as weak. I'm sorry that it feels that way.
No, it's the fear that it just doesn't stop me. I learned a lot about it at the Trial Workers College.
Yeah.
I think that there's varying levels.
Yeah.
But I've learned a lot of it through practice. But it doesn't mean that there's not some part of me still, whatever you want to call it, that has that hesitation.
Yeah.
Anyway, just trying to share some of the difficulties that, that are listening might encounter in giving this a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up, and I'm glad we did talk about it.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Yeah. I love you.
Love you too.
Thank you for joining us today. We are excited to explore life with you. We encourage curiosity, self-growth, and we strive to be more compassionate every day.